Hi, so when is closing time? One of the most frequently asked questions that I have is, when do I close? When do I need to be moved out? When do I get keys? When do I get my money? When do I need to have my money in? Well, that's when closing time is. For a buyer or a seller, closing time, or rather the closing date, also known as close of escrow or COE, has been established at the time of an executed contract between the buyer and the seller. Here in Arizona, the close of escrow date is determined and confirmed by not only on the purchase contract, but agreed upon that all the money will be funded and the deed will be recorded at that date. So let's just say October 30th for ease. And let's say it's a Thursday. If you are a seller, you should be out of your home, completely packed up, and everything ready for the new buyer by that date. Now, what time on October 30th? That is established when the monies are funded and when the deed is recorded sometime that day. That's why we always have our sellers leave your utilities on at least through to the end of that day, because it can happen at any time. The ideal would be happen first thing in the day, but sometimes it's later in the day, depending on the loan and the lender, if one. So as a seller, if your close of escrow date was October 30th, then your closing time is Thursday, October 30th. That means you must be completely out by that day and ready to be moved out and keys relinquished to your buyer. You will receive your funds depending on the timing and how you've requested those funds to be received. If you set it up with title that you want the funds wired, for example, then if it refunded and recorded first thing in the morning, depending on the timeline, more likely you might receive that wire that same day. In most cases, it's the next business day that you would receive those funds. Now, if you're a buyer, you would receive the keys as soon as it funds and records, meaning as soon as your lender has funded the funds, if you have one, or if you are wiring monies, as soon as those monies are received by title, that means it was funded. And then title will then at that point record the deed as sold with the county. And once the county comes back as it's recorded, establishing you as a new owner, is when you will receive your keys. And that's when you can move in. Now that's typical, unless of course you have a post-possession or a pre-possession agreement that's been established, or if on the contract terms were changed and addendums were done. If you have more questions regarding when is it your closing time, please feel free to respond to this post with all of your questions, and we'll be glad to answer those for you. Again, this is Deanne Fry with the Fry team at West USA Realty.